Yeah, we're safe.
Coming in.
Tell me, you're going to protect everybody from Daisy? Hanging back.
Righto, g'day. Now, I mentioned to you all that we're doing a bit of a modern hybrid here of stuff, but we've got a live stream of a Facebook, what do you call it? Like a live stream Facebook sort of thing. And we did say earlier that if you have any kind of issues with thinking about being on Facebook live stream, then just let us know and we'll just know not to video you. But hello everyone who's out there in Facebook land. And can you hear me okay? I wonder. Not sure. If you can't, let Jason know who's on the camera thing. My name's Tom. For those that I haven't met already, we've got a group here from Ocean Grove and also staying in the farm cottage here. So there's a few people here that are interested to have a look around the sheep as well as you people at home watching from the big wool show. So what we're going to do today is spend 20 minutes or so looking at what we do with our Polworth sheep, talking a little bit about what it takes to get to this point here, and that involves soil and grass and sheep and humans, and those are the sort of four things we're going to have a little bit of a time talking about, and of course we're going to get into them and do some touching and feeling and these sorts of things. So a little quick show of hands, who's been on a sheep farm before and they know what a sheep is and does and is. Yeah, good, we know that's good. Anyone into woolcraft? Can anyone knit, spin? Yes, perfect, good to see. What are we making?
Knitter. I'm knitting a jumper at the moment for my grandson.
Perfect, we've got a jumper in this on the go.
Knitted a beautiful scarf from your wool.
Ah, there you go.
It's better. Yeah.
And what are you making at the moment with wool?
I've spun wool before.
Yeah? And do you mind if I ask how old you are?
12.
There we go, we've got a 12-year-old spinner. Perfect, you've come to the right spot. Excellent, all right. So you might know a little bit about wool already, but we're going to kind of, just go across some of the basics. So the first thing that we kind of need is actually not so much the sheep, but the ground to work with. And I'm going to introduce my dad, Dave, here. Actually, why don't you come around here, Dave, so that we... And if anyone's watching and can't hear so well, let us know, because I think last year we had an hour of wind.
Wind from the wind, not from the person.
Well, that's true. Don't know. But actually the wind is probably a feature of the landscape and the soil here, isn't it, Dad?
Yep. This place where we are, where this grass is growing in the sheep, is actually sand dune. It was blown off that grassy plain out there. Before it was a grassy plain, it was the sea. And then it dried up, and all the sand blew up here and made this ridge. And it's quite extensive. And then that became a big lake later on.
Hard to imagine, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And then when the volcanic eruptions and everything happened, that's when it became a lake. And then that dried up,
Yeah.
and it all blew up here, so we got more. And in this rock, in this bank, is rock. You see those yellow rocks lying about?
Yeah.
That's
In
what
fact, the old ruin over here, isn't it?
yeah, and our house is made out of rocks. Yeah.
So what sort of soil is it?
Sandy loam, and it's good for growing grass. It's also good up here for growing trees, and you can see it grows oak trees really well, but it also grew manna gums and bottles.
so rich.
Doesn't it?
Moist and rich
Do
for
you
a
want to get your nose into it and have a bit of a look? There's a whole bunch of earthworms in there as well.
Oh yeah.
And at the minute it's really
So moist
damp.
too.
Yes, I was trying to avoid
We're on a
that
hill,
word.
isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It should all flow down to the bottom, which is probably what you guys have found trying to park your car at the cottage. It's really at the top of a hill and it's really damp at the moment. Sniff? So if we were in a winery, this would be, you know, terroir. Or however you say that, you know that one? Terroir? Terroir. Where the wine is influenced by the soil itself. So there you go.
There you go. Well,
So
that's the
grass,
soil.
so the soil grows grass.
Yep, and in this part of the world we've got a 24-inch rainfall that falls from autumn to spring, and it's a very dry summer. So we get good perennial grasses growing. That means they'll grow for years, but they go dry in summer. And when you have that effect, you get a heap of grass in spring, as you can see over there. That's
Lots of grass.
Going mad. The sheep can't eat it all. And then in the summer, some of it is okay to eat, but often you have to help with barley or oats or something, just to help them break up this dry grass and get some nourishment from it.
We're going to have a go at some barley just to see. Daisy hasn't worked out that the barley is there, and I feel like, you know, when there's a kid around and you have to sort of spell out a word, or a dog, we're going for W-A-L-K. So I almost think with Daisy. So there's a key feature of the rainfall and the grass and this sort of stuff is it reflects in the wool with the strength of the staple. I've managed to collect a really short staple. When I say staple, I'm talking about a piece of wool that grows out of the sheep. And so it grows out like hair on your head. So this is the skin, and then over 12 months, and then shear. And so what you can do is sort of read at that point. It was shorn in February. So that was February 2019, let's say. 21 if this was last year. and then it goes back down to here. We're all good. So one of the things that happens here is that there's this big flush of grass, isn't there, Dad? And what happens?
When it's been dry for the summer, and they've been used to eating dry feed, the autumn comes and you get green grass. So when it is a change from dry feed to green feed, it upsets their stomach a bit, not a lot, but they get something like a fever, just a quick change of feed. That shows up in the wool as a little break just on the skin. It gets weak, and then they get over that very quickly and it goes on to be a nice fleece. So wherever that changed fever is will show up on this staple. And when you shear in January, you get a bit growing, and up there it grows till the break, and then there'll be a break just there. It'll be weak, it won't fall off, it'll just be a bit weaker. And when you test your wool, you get that little bit. If we shore in August, the break would come there in the middle. And when you pulled it, you only got half your bit of wool, so when you go to spin it, it breaks and you've got two short bits, which is no good.
It really tells the story, doesn't it?
Yeah,
That's right.
Incredible.
Yeah. So that change in grass in the landscape then affects, okay, when are we going to shear? So then you kind of have to round up your group of people to do shearing at that time. So that's when people ask, when do you shear? That's one of the influences and factors that you've got to bring into consideration, is that when is that break likely to happen, if it's going to happen.
So is that in the bull class of before? Do they look for almost
Exactly, so that's one of the
they
things.
can tell, they think, well, that's not such a good
That's right. So our spinning friend over here might be able to have shown you, if she's worked with raw wool, but I'll show you there at home, is you take the piece of the staple like that, and then you put some pressure on it, like that. We'll do a bit more, and that's to test the soundness of the wool, and that's really, there's that little break.
Wool.
So it happened sort of towards the end there, but you have to put quite a lot of pressure on it. There you go. So that's soil, grass, and now we're talking about the sheep. So the best way for this strange little mob of sheep to get them is not so much stick, but carrot. So we're going to mention the word barley and see what happens. We're interested, aren't we? Where are you? There you go. So one of these sheep was raised by hand. I wonder if you can, it's not this one, but I wonder if you can work out who it was.
That one.
Which one?
In the jacket.
Which one?
In the coat.
One with the coat on? No, what about...
That one with the orange in its ear.
Here she is.
No.
Oh, that one.
She's decided to have a limp today. I don't know.
I think that's the one that was looking at us in the cottage. She
Yes,
was
she
on
would
the
have been.
knoll up there.
Dave,
We thought they were.
they have to home that, Tom.
That. Actually, hold it above your head for the minute.
Hey,
So, this is Daisy's daughter, Dee Dee.
come on.
We call her Dee Dee because Daisy's daughter is the...
No, you get off to the side so you can show them properly.
You right?
Come on.
Yeah, you hold on to that one. The only reason you're holding it up here is so that when Daisy comes finding you, she's not going to bowl you over. Alright, we've got a white Polworth sheep here, and we're just going to open up her wool here just for a bit of a look. So she was shorn last in February, so we've got 9 months of wool growth, and she's quite a strong looking fleece. So some of the characteristics in wool that we look at, particularly for craft, is luster, so the shininess, the crimp, and that sort of wave that you can see there, soft handling, colour. So what can we see here is, and length obviously, yes, correct. So already at 9 months, Dee Dee's got a pretty good staple length on her. So you would expect that to sort of come out to around about, would expect that staple length to come out to around about 110 mil, sort of 5 to 6 inches. And as the spinners would sort of know, the longer the staple, the longer the draft, which means that you're not going to have so many ends. So that's one end, and where it's shorn is the other end. And just on that ends bit, ends are what pokes out of a fabric to create a pill. So if there's less ends in your length of wool, your yarn, then that likelihood to pill is reduced. So that's her wool. What sort of, do you want to kind of get your hands into that and have a bit of a feel? Who's brave? So you immediately notice that stickiness, kind of oily, yeah.
Has she been shorn before, Tom?
Yeah, she was shorn in February. Yeah. So it's got a stickiness, oiliness, you said, right? So that's a natural sort of thing that comes out as the wool grows, and it's a mix of, yeah.
Is that to keep it waterproof?
You are right on the money. Fantastic, exactly. So that natural grease that the sheep produces keeps them waterproof, because they're obviously standing outside, and so that water just then needs to come off. So that greasiness is a mix of a whole bunch of stuff: sweat, grease, and a thing called lanolin. And you might have heard of lanolin as a sort of good skincare product, and that's where it comes from. Is where this is washed. Yeah, a good lubricant, exactly. So this one, you can see a bit of what we call vegetable matter coming into the fleece. So there's whatever plant that was that she was under. There's a little bug. So there, and there's dust in that. So that vegetable matter and that grease, it sort of works out to be about 30% of the weight of the fleece. Needs to be washed before we can do anything, and that we'll talk about in a second is called scouring. But yeah, you can see that there's a lot of grot in there that we don't necessarily want to wear. We can also talk about her age. If you get in close to her mouth there, you can see how many teeth has she got. Can you see?
No,
Go down.
The bottom lip.
There.
Bottom lip.
Look.
How many teeth has she got in there?
Quite a lot.
Quite a lot. So she's not young. That's what that means. So at 18 months old, she get 2 adult teeth, and then every year after that she'd have 2 more onto the side. It's about 8 in total. And so because we kind of see her often and she lives very close by and we can control her feed, she'll probably be with us for about 10 years. But that's the way you would normally tell the age of a sheep is how many teeth they have. Did you notice that there was only 1 row of teeth in there? So they only have the bottom teeth, is that right? Yeah.
Oh,
Bottom
they're
teeth.
so brown.
That's
She doesn't do them very often.
Yeah,
Awesome,
yeah.
yeah.
Why are they so brown?
True.
From
they can't
eating
brush their
grass.
teeth.
Yeah.
And they can't brush their teeth.
And they can't brush their
Grass
teeth.
stains it a bit.
Probably to do with the terroir. And so when you watch them eat grass, you'll notice that they sort of clamp the grass and then jerk it back. So that's, rather than having 2 teeth where they can just bite it like a horse, they do something different. So watch them next time when they're eating grass and see how that
Well, one's
little
got
tooth
caught
thing
his
works.
leg in
Um,
the fence.
So we have a plain bodied sheep, which means that it doesn't have extra wrinkles. You might have heard of things like mulesing, which is a way to control fly strike. We don't have to do that with the Polworth sheep because of their plain body. They cut about 3 or 4 kilograms of fleece, which is a little bit lighter to a merino, and so that's possibly one of the drawbacks why we don't see as many Polworth sheep. But that sort of breeding is changing so that we have heavier fleeces as well. You can see obviously that some of them are black and brown, so maybe we might try and get Daisy and see if she wants to show us what the brown fleece looks like. White is a dominant gene, and so if you wanted to get black sheep, you'd need to find that random little black sheep that happened out in a flock and then cross it with another one. Yeah, I think we'll let her go. Good on you, DD. And
Can you talk about the sheep coats?
sheep coats. So some of them have got coats on them. Can you see that? Some of those little white ones. That is a way to protect the fleece from getting that vegetable matter in it. And so for hand spinners, it's a really nice result to have really clean wool that you can spin in the raw. And it's a thing that Mum and Dad started about 40 years ago, when greasy wool spinning was really popular, and so we don't do as much of that these days, but we do have just a couple of coats on here because we intend to shear those few white sheep that have coats on in the International Back-to-Back Wool Challenge. So we're just kind of giving them a bit of special treatment in a minute. Daisy, Daisy, Daisy. Come on, Daisy. Daisy. Come on. Come on, you know you want it. Oh, we're making you limp over, Dave, sorry. Who wants to feed Daisy? This is what you do.
Oh, whoa.
She loves barley.
Stampede!
She'll tickle your hand a little bit. Here we go. So just keep your hand flat and your fingers down so that she doesn't
that?
kind of nibble. That's it. Yeah, you got some. Do you
I'll pass the sheep.
want a bit more? Go on. Please, yeah. But Daisy will try and push it if she wants it more. We're trying to get Dee Dee's little lamb there to be.
What's Dee Dee's actual name?
Well, we're just going with Dee Dee because she's Daisy's daughter.
Do all the other sheep have names?
And they're the only ones we've got names for. Yeah, she'll keep going. You sure you don't want to go?
I will.
Yeah. Kiddos.
Can I give some to that one?
Yeah, see if you can. We're trying to make that one a pet.
Really?
Yeah, hop in.
How do they be?
So you'll know if they're going for. Daisy's one for us.
Regulated temperature in the coats.
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's woven, and so the moisture can get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very easy when you do like that because they spread it together. They know.
Because they're wearing these all summer,
Oh,
aren't they?
yeah.
Sorry. I have none, I'm sorry.
Righto. So there we go. We've thanks, Days. You've shown us how wool's growing. It turns out it comes off the sheep like this at shearing time in February. So it's got that grease and it's got that vegetable matter in it. We then get it scoured in Geelong to wash that out, turned into top. So all the, have a go at that, pass it around. So it sort of feels a bit like wool, but it hasn't got the greasiness, and it's all kind of aligned and straight. We then send it to another place in Ballarat where they spin that wool into yarn. So there you go. We've got the wool growing from the dirt into the grass, into the sheep, and then by the hands of many talented people and their machines around Victoria, turning it into a yarn. It's then over to knitters, weavers, crocheters to then turn it into something that we can wear. Now, has anyone got any questions at this point? Anyone at home? So for you guys, there's a little path that goes around the dam up here, and if you were to if we open this gate here, we'll ask you to sort of encourage the sheep back up into the dam up there. You can do a little bit of shepherding, and we'll put them into that paddock there. So the best way to do that is somebody go and open the first gate, and then our spinning friend has got some barley to encourage them to follow behind. So there you go. If you lead the way, you're going to go through this gate here where Dad is, and then through that other open gate, and then just follow that path and see if they all follow you. There you go. So shearing happens, I should say that the bulk of the farm is next door with my brother. So he grows the majority of the wool and shears it there on that part. And so between the two of us, we've got about 1,000. And so most of them are white, and then about 100 or so in the naturally coloured. So, but this is our little homestead block, just to kind of hang around here and say good day to
The family.
Thank you.
Beauty.
That's really interesting.
Okay. Come on, Days. Days. Thank you. Days.
And why was she then?
Oh, her parents.
The parents. Yeah.
Your mother.
Single mother, too much for her.
She didn't leave. Come on, Days. Come on, Days.
She's going.
Oh, what?